the Senate President and the Chairman, National Assembly, Senator Ahmed Lawan, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Obi Omo Agege, the Senate Leader, Senator Dr. Yahya Abdullahi Malamawan Kebi, the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Abaribe, distinguished principal officers of the Senate, distinguished senators. Allow me, Mr. President, to specifically recognize the distinguished senators from my state with particular reference to Senator Muhammadu Adamu Aleru Garkuangwandu and Senator Bala Ibn Allah, having recognized the Senate leader, who indeed is equally a senator from Kebbi State, my home state. I would also like to take this opportunity, Mr. President, to recognize and acknowledge the presence this morning and the company of members of the House of Representatives from my state who have spared time to accompany me to this hallowed chamber. Mr. President, as rightly reflected on my CV, my name is Abubakar Malami, and Kebbi State is my state of origin. I am a family man, married with children. I started my primary education in Nasarawa Primary School, Birnin Kebbi, and I was indeed born in Birnin Kebbi of Kebbi State on the 17th day of April 1967. After my primary education in Nasarawa Primary School, I proceeded to College of Arts and Arabic Studies, Sokoto, as it then was, now known as Sheikh Muhammad Abubakar Gumi, Sheikh Abubakar Gumi Memorial College. After passing out from College of Arts and Arabic Studies, I had a 3-year diploma program in Common Law and Islamic Sharia with College of Legal and Islamic Studies, Sokoto. In 1987, I passed out. After the diploma program, I proceeded to Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, where I have had a combined honors degree program in Sharia and Common Law. I was called to the Nigerian bar. After my university in 1991, I proceeded to Nigeria Law School Lagos campus, which was the only campus then, and passed and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1992. After my service program, I had Masters in Public Administration in University of Maiduguri. I have had a life as a legal practitioner. I initiated an office in my home state, Birnin Kebbi, by name A.A. Malami and Co. before I eventually collapsed the practice and headed a law office of K.T. Turaki and Co., a former minister in the federal cabinet, Minister for Special Duties, Kabiru Tanimu Turaki, SAN. I headed the office for a period of around 9 to 10 years before I eventually established my practice. I have had a life as well as a lecturer. I lectured at a point in Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. I was at a point in my state, a state council, and equally was at a point a magistrate. I held a lot of positions of responsibilities and political engagements in life. At a point, sometimes in 2014, I was a member of the Constitution Subcommittee of the APC. I was at a point chairman All Progressive Congress APC Kano State Congress Appeal Committee, precisely in May 2014. I was a member of Kebbi State Committee on National Conference convened by the federal government in 2013. I was a member APC Electoral Committee for Anambra State Gubernatorial Election 2013. I was a member National Convention and Congress Committee 2013. A member merger committees between the CPC, ACN, ANPP towards the formation of what we today know as All Progressive Congress. I was at a point the National Legal Advisor of Congress for Progressive Change and the chairman legal team of the CPC Presidential Campaign Organization in 2011. Mr. President, sir, I was equally a member of Transition Committee, a committee that was set in place to superintend the transition in 2015 from the former administration upon the winning of election by President Muhammadu Buhari. I was eventually magnanimously appointed a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the capacity of Attorney General of the Federation and Minister for Justice by President Muhammadu Buhari. And I'm happy to state that we have recorded some modest achievements during my tenure as the Attorney General of the Federation. The achievements were multifaceted, among which, from the legislative perspectives, we have succeeded in presenting some modest legislations that were targeted at shaping the anti-corruption fight of President Muhammadu Buhari. Among the legislations of note that has direct bearing to the fight against corruption were Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2017, Anti-Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2017, National Financial Intelligence Bill 2017, Proceeds of Crime Bill 2017, Public Interest Disclosure and Witness Protection Bill 2017, the Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Bill 2017. And I am happy to state that arising from the passage of some of this bill, Nigeria, that was at a point being considered for expulsion, for dismissal from participation in Egmont Group, was indeed restored as a full-fledged member. The implication of participation of Nigeria as a member of Egmont Group is the ability of Nigeria as a country to share intelligence as it relates to illicit financial cash flow, among others. I am equally of the view that we have recorded some successes in terms of policy formulations. Before the coming in place of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, we have had cases, particularly criminal cases associated with corruption, that had been on for over a period of 10 years without meaningful progress. And then arising from desire to ensure speedy determination of these cases, I came up with Executive Order number 6 that was eventually signed by the President, and arising from that development, cases particularly that have corruption undertones have recorded tremendous speedy dispensation. Modest convictions were as a result recorded. It was those type of policies eventually that saw us being reconsidered for membership of the Egmont Group, among others. We have had in place a whistleblowing policy that translated into greater success associated with the recovery of looted assets. We have taken steps to ensure that not only policies were formulated, but they were indeed effectively enforced. Among the policies that were in place that we have succeeded in enforcing was the TSA, Single Treasury Account, Integrated Platform for Personnel Information System, which eventually translated to a massive discovery of ghost workers. Over 23,000 ghost workers were taken out of the payroll of the federal government, arising from the IPPIS policy that was put in place. We have created a situation of greater visibility of financial dealings of Nigerians through the enforcement of the bank's verification number. So, arising from that, application of Executive Order number 6 became effectively in place. Accounts of individuals standing corruption charges could visibly be seen, and we have taken steps in ensuring that they were blocked for the purpose of ensuring at the end of the day that the funds that are in contention relating to corruption cases are not utilized by people standing trials so as not to jeopardize investigation, and eventually, if convictions are obtained, to ensure the forfeiture of the associated assets. At the international forum, we have equally joined open government partnership, and that is out of conviction of President Muhammadu Buhari that we should not only be seen as fighting corruption, but we should be seen to be transparent and open both locally and internationally. I am happy to report that arising from my initiative, the Nigerian government has indeed enrolled as a member of Open Government Partnership internationally, which allows us an opportunity to embark, accommodate, and operate transparent and open government. We have given effect to Administration of Criminal Justice Act by way of policy, which has as well translated into the speedy dispensation of justice with greater efficiency and transparency in the administration of justice. In terms of the fight against terrorism, I am happy to state that we have succeeded within the time I was accorded an opportunity to be the Attorney General of the Federation to conclude 63 terrorism cases and secured 59 convictions out of the 63 terrorism cases that were handled. We have taken cost-effective measures in terms of administration of justice. And I'm happy to report that we have succeeded in saving the federal government of Nigeria 145 billion naira through the defense of cases relating to claims against the federal government. In terms of dollars, we have equally succeeded in saving the federal government $5 billion within a period of 3 years through successful defense of cases associated with such claims. In terms of civil prosecution of cases, I'm equally happy to report that we have succeeded in prosecuting over 1,141 cases. And then, through the cost-effective mechanisms that were put in place, only 2 of those cases were farmed out. The cases were locally prosecuted by lawyers in the chambers of the Attorney General of the Federation. Your Excellency the President, in terms of criminal cases as well, we have succeeded over the period of 3 to 4 years in prosecuting over 12,412 cases. In 2015, for example, we prosecuted and handled 2,617 cases. In 2016, 2,933 cases. In 2017, 108. In addition to cases that were concluded through other processes. By way of recovery of public funds, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished members, I am happy to report as well that during the modest period I served as the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister for Justice, we increased the balance in the federal government of Nigeria recovery accounts from 19 billion as it was as at the time we came into office, which was as of 29th May 2015, from 19 billion to 279 billion 389 million as at 22nd November 2018. Mr. President, that translates to 1,329% increase in recoveries. Mr. President, the Federal Ministry of Justice exclusively recovered $779,495,900 out of this amount. And indeed, in Naira, we recovered 59,163 million within the period under review. Let me state, Mr. President, that the successes that I feel we have recorded over time when I served as the Attorney General of the Federation were mainly and substantially on account of what I considered, I understood to be the basis and foundation for progress as far as this nation is concerned, which indeed was collaboration. Arising from the collaboration of the executive and indeed the legislature, we have succeeded in bringing about legislation that had direct bearing in whatever policy is put in place by the federal government. So in essence, I come to understand, Your Excellency, arising from that development, that no meaningful contribution, no meaningful success can be achieved without integration, without collaboration, and without working together. Your Excellency, if given an opportunity further to serve this nation in whatever capacity, I want to place it on record that it is my desire and intention to operate within the context of integration, within the context and spirit of Section 15 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which establishes the desire and need for integration. Within the context of Section 15, which establishes the need for collective action as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. But one thing I come to realize, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished members, is the fact that the Office of the Attorney General has exclusive responsibility of upholding the public as against individual interest. Upholding the public interest, and in so doing, embedding it, flavoring it with the interest of justice, and indeed ensure at the end of the day that no abuse is allowed to set in. It is not an office that is exclusively targeted at serving an individual interest, but collective interest. So in so doing, Mr. President, what is expected of the Office of the Attorney General arising from my appreciation is indeed upholding the public interest, particularly when it comes in conflict with an individual interest. The public interest, the interest of 180 million of Nigerians as against the interest of a single individual. And whatever decision, whatever opinion I have developed over time, arising from the role I played as the Attorney General of the Federation, Your Excellency, was indeed rooted in that singular appreciation. I am happy to report, Mr. President, that I have developed over 1,002 legal opinions at a time when I served as the Attorney General of the Federation. And my major consideration as a driving force relating to those opinions is the public interest and the interest of 180 Nigerians. And I was in no way, Your Excellency, the President, carried away by sentiments relating to self-serving or individual interest, but the public interest. I rest my case as far as limited antecedents associated with my person are concerned, Mr. President. Yes, distinguished senators. Well, a question was asked by my friend, my learned friend, Senator Michael Ofemi, seeking to know what I think I can do different in terms of ensuring that bills that are passed on to the President for assent are not unnecessarily rejected along the line. In the course of my submissions, I have highlighted on an experience and appreciation of the fact that whatever problems we have associated with running of the government is indeed embedded in the absence of collaboration and cooperation. So the major thing I think I can do differently by way of ensuring at the end of the day that bills coming from the National Assembly are assented to by the President is to establish a culture of collaboration. A culture of deep-rooted collaboration for that matter, and not a collaboration as we see it today. What we have today perhaps is simply a public hearing arrangement as a means of perhaps entertaining opinions, contributions, and observations associated with bills. I think we have in place a friendly National Assembly that will allow for integrated consummation of ideas. Perhaps maybe a bill that is rooted in the national interest should be a bill that right from conception should be shared between the executive, the judiciary, and indeed the legislature, so as to entertain opinions, entertain objections, entertain whatever superior argument could be accommodated for the purpose of fine-tuning it to ensure at the end of the day that it sees the light of the day for assent. Let me cite an example, for example, with a PIB bill that has been raised by the distinguished Deputy Senate President. That bill was fundamentally rejected, among others, by the President because of the fact that the interest of the host community was at a point compromised. Compromised in which way? Compromised in the sense that self-serving sections were brought into it, conferring powers on an individual as against the institution. And the public interest element of the role of the President requires that the public interest should be factored more as against public or individual interest. So that was fundamentally the reason why, among others, it was rejected. It was not assented to, sorry, by the president at a time when it was indeed transmitted for assent. So what I'm saying in essence, if at the point of conception, at the point of formulation, and at the point of passage before then, there was a collaboration in terms of understanding with the judiciary, in terms of understanding with the executive and associated relevant institutions, institutions that have direct variance with the spirit of the bill, I do not see that bill eventually being returned unassented to. So what I'm saying in essence is the key to the successes of the bills that are being transmitted by the National Assembly is a deep collaboration between the institutions of government, and that is what I intend, if at the end of the day it pleases Mr. President to allow me to continue in Federal Ministry of Justice, to ensure is done. We address the issues of collaboration at the institutional level, and then at the point of public hearing, we collectively entertain the opinion of the public to see what further amendments, what further enhancements in the quality of the bills are put in place for the purpose of ensuring at the end of the day that we succeed in having them assented to. As it relates to judiciary, on the other hand, I think we are as well making progress for the purpose of interfacing or ensuring the effective delivery of judicial services by the judicial arm of the government. And that can visibly be seen by the fact that for the first time, the budget of the judiciary was being enhanced by the executive. As at 2017, it was enhanced by 2 billion. And then we have now taken it up further by way of ensuring the autonomy of the state judiciary. It was never the practice before now, before the amendment to the Constitution, it was never the case for the state judiciary to enjoy some level of autonomy. And as it obtains today, not only that Mr. President assented to the constitutional provision that embedded the independence of the judiciary in terms of finances and funding, but indeed goes further to have in place a committee that will see to the execution and implementation of such autonomy, among others. So I think it's no longer a situation of he who plays the fifer dictates the tune, but then we have taken and put in place policies that will, at the end of the day, see, one, to the independence of the judiciary, and then two, create a very good working environment in terms of collaboration.
Mr. President, 5 more minutes, please.
The question was asked as to how I want to be remembered as the Attorney General of the Federation. Well, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, if I'm to be remembered as having played a role as far as the development of this nation is concerned.
I think you can be concise.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Brief.
One, I want to be remembered as being an Attorney General that stops the drift of this nation into disintegration, taking into consideration what is being manifested arising from the hate speeches, among others. So my major task and intention is to ensure that our laws relating to treason and treasonable felony are indeed effectively brought to bear to ensure that this nation of ours remains one and the same. Ensure at the end of the day that aggressively we intensify the fight against corruption, recover the looted assets locally and internationally, and at the end of the day, make our system of governance, both executive, judicial, and legislative, efficient and effective. I think the question by Deputy Senate President has been taken in passing, but then the other arm of it relating to continental shelf I'm happy to record that that was a process that has been on for over a period of over 10 years before the coming in place of this government without any successes being recorded. But I am happy to report that I was the chairman. Eventually, I was made the chairman of that committee. And arising from that, we have succeeded within the period of 4 years to acquire a maritime boundary extension for the Nigerian state by 5 times the size of Lagos, as approved by United Nations Committee on Continental Shelf. And the possibility, confirmed, that aspect is confirmed. And we are now fighting on the possibility of further extension by 4 times what we have already secured and obtained. So I want to state it on record that the 5 times the size of Lagos has been indeed secured from the United Nations, and we are fighting more for further extension. Only last 2 weeks, I appeared before United Nations relevant committee on continental shelf and made submissions for further extension. Mr. President was happy with what has been acquired, but instructed for further aggressive action to acquire more. That is the position of things as far as that committee is concerned, Mr. President. Minority Leader spoke of Section 36, 37, 39, and among others of the Constitution as it relates to right of individuals, which he believes I have a responsibility to protect. I concede that I have a responsibility, or I have had a responsibility as the Attorney General of the Federation to protect individual rights. But looking at the provisions of Section 174 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I want to reiterate and state further that the office of the Attorney General is meant to protect public interest, and where the individual interest conflicts with the public interest, the interest of 180 million Nigerians that are interested in having this country integrated must naturally prevail. And I think that, yes, and I think that position has been very well captured by the Apex Court that has stated in the case of Alhaji Asari Dokubo versus the federal government of Nigeria, that where an individual interest conflicts the public interest naturally prevails. And that, thank you. Yes. Well, as it the final question, Mr. Your Excellency the President, Senator Yakubu requested, or perhaps ask a question as to what I intend to do in terms of ensuring speedy recovery of the economy. I think fundamentally the Office of the Attorney General has a greater responsibility in ensuring the blockage of leakages associated with the economy. And I think that is what this administration has succeeded in doing by way of bringing about the policies that brings about sanity, prudence, and in management of the scarce resources of the country. So it is about the enforcement, and I think the Office of the Attorney General will double effort in ensuring that the leakages associated with economic activities are indeed adequately blocked. Thank you.
When the nominee takes about, please.
The Senate has just screened Abubakar Malami, the immediate past